That would be Danny Vegas. Coming to you here from the Sports Circus at WCOBM in fabulous Las Vegas. And this show is brought to you by the American Business Trust Company, specializing in investment capital, growth companies, sales and marketing strategy. You can reach them at 657-600-1876 for all your business needs. They've been doing it for 25 years. They're really good at it. Look them up at abtrustco, ABTRUSTCO.com. So, special guest in here today, Danny Vegas.
I was just standing out on the street corner.
Were you?
Will work for food.
I thought you were twirling that arrow, like come into here.
Well, that would be working.
Well,
I just want the food.
We'll work for food, I suppose, right? You had a great event the other night.
Wow, it was killer, man.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, every 3 months, Danny Vegas puts on a business marketing event, and last Tuesday was at Blue Martini, and you showed up.
Just for a few minutes, because I never do these things.
You showed up and you found the talent in the room, and there you were talking to some real estate agent by the Russian.
Talking to everybody.
Yeah, you were talking to everybody.
I was talking to everybody because that's what I do. As long as they know anything about sports, great.
Right.
Otherwise, I have to put the MBA hat on. We start talking business, and then it gets boring.
Oh, yeah. How did Olga handle sports? Is she okay on the sports?
Yeah,
Olga there.
I don't know. But what I do know is that this guy's a troublemaker, and all he's trying to do is kind of stir the pot a little bit. Just because that's what he does. But how'd the turnout go?
Well, I think there was 300 plus. I don't really count numbers. I just know that the place was packed, and people were excited and had a great event, and everybody liked it, and now we're on to the next one.
Right. I met some great people from web development to Windows, custom Windows, people that technically would come in and sponsor the Sports Circus on Fox Sports Radio at 1340. That would be our Saturday show, which comes tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
6 a.m.
Oh, honey.
That's right. AM 1340, Fox Sports Radio. So we had a great event the other day.
It was good.
Everybody ends up with a deck of business cards.
Yep.
And hopefully everybody is following up with the business cards.
That's right.
I've already followed up with 2 of the people because that's what I do.
That's right.
Boom, right away. I don't waste any time. When you go to these networking events, any meetings, whatnot, follow up. Don't lag, because that's the worst thing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Why go to the meeting if you're not going to follow up?
10 days, 20 days later, people have forgotten.
Right. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
I don't know who you are.
That's right.
But I do remember the guy with the big head. That would be me, right?
Oh, is that you?
That's me with the giant head.
You did a great job, man. You showed up. You had a great time. It was cool. I'm glad
Well, you did a good job on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you even had a nice tie on.
Yeah, I had a tie on, and I was looking pretty dapper.
Right, I was the one-man slum.
Yeah.
Just because I could be. All right, so let's get into a little bit of baseball here, because pitchers and catchers are reporting in maybe 3 weeks on the 12th, 13th, 14th of February. So the whole baseball world now is starting to rise up. That would be here in the U.S., of course, because we obviously have the Caribbean leagues, the Mexican leagues, etc., which I played in those leagues, and that's year-round. Whether it's the fall league, the spring league, this league, that league, the hell, doesn't even matter. Anyway, so now the big leagues, we're starting to get together. All of the pitchers and catchers, they're going to be reporting, and there have been some things that have happened in the offseason from your trades, your free agents, but just the other day we had the Hall of Fame voting.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw Bagwell is in.
Jeff Bagwell.
Bagwell is in. The catcher, Pudge.
Ivan Rodriguez made it, and that was his first year on the ballot.
Okay, and then there was one more guy that I can't catch. I can't remember.
Tim Raines.
Tim Raines. He played for the Montreal Expos back in the day.
And for the Chicago White Sox.
And for the Chicago White Sox. That's good. All right.
Tim Raines was a great base stealer, 808 bases stolen. Obviously, the only person to really surpass that would be Ricky Henderson.
That's right.
And I think Ricky's still playing somewhere. I don't know. He's 50-odd years old, but he's out there playing because he loves to play the game. So the questions were those the right 3 guys to get in? And I looked at the list all the way down to 15 to 17.
Right.
And I looked at where the votes came in. You needed 332 votes to get in. Jeff Bagwell made it by a long shot, and it was his 7th year on the ballots. But the biggest question about Bagwell was he's a steroid era guy, and there has been evidence that, well, we won't say evidence.
Right.
There have been allegations that he was closely related to the steroids that nobody really spoke about. And so if you're going to include Jeff Bagwell in that discussion, if there's a scale, it's called a WAR scale. Mm-hmm. Jeff Bagwell had a solid position in this. And basically, it's what all the versus the Hall of Famers that are currently in, what the numbers look like. And then you take guys like, if you're going to talk about steroids, you're going to let Bagwell in. You got to let Barry Bonds in. You have to. His numbers are completely off the charts. And the funny thing about Barry Bonds is that before he went and started taking steroids and whatnot, he was already a 5-tool guy.
Right.
This guy had it. And the only reason Bonds started juicing up was because McGwire starts hitting home runs, because he was juicing.
Right.
And the worst thing, McGwire was a monster already.
Right.
He didn't need to do that. And now McGwire spawned Sammy Sosa into doing it. And Sammy Sosa came up in 1990. I got a whole bunch of his rookie cards.
Right.
And, he was the strikeout king. This guy could not make contact.
Right.
He came up with the Chicago White Sox. Then he was dealt around the league, went to the Orioles and a few other teams. But you got a guy like Barry Bonds needs to really be in if Bagwell is in, because he was clearly, and I mean leaps and bounds, better with the glove, better on the bases. He was a better hitter, more clutch hitter. How do you not let a guy with 700 and some odd home runs get in there?
Well, did the Bagwell guy, did he get caught red-handed?
He did not get caught red-handed, but he was around the same.
Guilt by
everything.
association. That doesn't work. If he got caught, like Barry Bonds got caught, right? I mean, there's just no doubt, right? He got caught. Then I think you have a case. But if you didn't get caught, and there's not this, DNA, what do they call it? True crime evidence, with where they just got you by the DNA nuts. Then hey, that's speculation.
Well, what they didn't have is the CSI crew.
Yeah, he didn't have the CSI. That's what I was trying to do. They ain't got CSI evidence. Then hey, you can't. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Well, in this country, you're actually guilty until proven innocent. That's why they lock you up. Then they say, "Oh, go get an attorney."
Right. Well, I think that's a very strong point.
That's another discussion.
But I don't know. In today's baseball world, with people going all around. I mean, I look at Hall of Famers every year, and it seems like I'm like, wow, they just seem kind of like average players compared to the generation or two before them.
Right. Well, those were war horses. And here, let's go back to that, because I just mentioned Barry Bonds. Now, people were saying, well, Roger Clemens was taking steroids. Now, think about this. Now, I'm a former pitcher, and I think about, what will steroids do for me? Is it going to help me throw the ball harder? No, it will not. Is it going to help me potentially stay in the game from a conditioning standpoint? Not necessarily. What it would really do for a pitcher is allow you to heal, maybe faster, but that's not really heal. That's heal.
Right.
Right? Because all it really does is it gives you a false sense of security as to you're feeling well, but it causes a lot of damage in your ligaments and tendons, in the first place. But Roger Clemens with 354 wins, that's amazing. You take a guy like Greg Maddux, who was the pillar of pitchers from Control. Maddux with just over 300 wins.
Right.
Shewin, Glavine gets in at the same level. Glavine's fantastic. John Smoltz, and you're talking the whole Atlanta Braves staff.
That's right. I remember those days.
Right. It was a fantastic staff. But those guys don't have the same amount of wins that Roger Clemens does. I think ERA-wise, they're all about the same at 3.12, or maybe give or take a half a run. And you got to realize that Clemens actually pitched 4,916 innings. That's a lot of innings.
That's a lot of innings.
That's a lot of innings. And he finished 7th in the ballot. Now, ahead of him, which really blows me away, is Trevor Hoffman from the San Diego Padres.
That's right.
Hoffman comes in 4th place. He's about 6 votes shy of getting in. Now, Hoffman, listen to this.
Maybe next year.
But this is a troubling thing for me. Now, as a pitcher, I came up as a starting pitcher. All pitchers were starting pitchers.
Right.
If you had relievers, the relievers basically came in and mopped up because the starting pitcher couldn't do their job in the first place, right? So, let's go to the pen, bring in the righty or some crap like that. The problem is this. When you have guys in this generation, and I go back 20 years even, they come into the league as a closer.
Right.
Look, I get what Tony La Russa did with the closer role back in the early to mid 1980s. The problem with that is that you're bringing kids up that have 2 pitches, maybe 1 pitch.
Right.
With the exception of like the Mariano Rivera's,
right,
whatever. Okay. But they really have 2 choices, and they're only going to throw maybe 10 to 15 pitches in 1 inning, and they're getting all the glory for what?
Well, baseball has changed. We know the days of Bob Gibson and those Mickey Lolich. Those guys went out there and pitched 9 innings, 8 innings every game. Today those pitchers don't exist anymore because it's too much of a, hey, if our starter can get us into 4 innings, into the 5th, I got my middle relief guys. That's all they do. And then I got my closer guy, the guy that comes in and pitches.
The setup guy, or the closer guy. Right. If the starter can get you into the 6th inning, that's really what the teams are looking for. But I think the bigger problem with this is you take a guy like Trevor Hoffman with 601 saves. His record was 61-75. This guy's 14 games under 500. And as a closer, he's a 2.87 ERA. As a closer, you've got to be under 1.5. Because remember, you have basically 1 to 3 outs typically.
That's right.
To get your credit for the game.
Right.
So you take a guy that's basically blown a lot of games. He blew 75 games. We knew he blew 75, but how many actually went into a tie when his team was winning?
I don't know. I just know that he just couldn't get those last 3 outs in the World Series. It just seemed like he couldn't do it. Or in the All-Star game, he couldn't do it. I don't know. But you know what? He did get, I don't know if he's still the save leader. He was for a while. I don't know if he's been surpassed by it at this point.
That's the worst stat in all of baseball.
But I mean, saves when your job is to roll in and take the, I don't know if you remember, but they used to play the bell from AC/DC when he came in. It used to be like wow thing, and it'd be crazy. People would be going crazy, and he'd get 3 outs, and that would be it.
Right, and see, to me, I don't understand that because here's a guy that has literally pitched under 1,100 innings, and he got 100 more votes than Roger Clemens, who pitched almost 5 times the amount of innings. And look at his record, 354 and 184. That is a bona fide Hall of Famer.
So Roger didn't get in?
Not this time. It's his 5th time around, just like with Barry Bonds. But I think what's going on here...
That's interesting. Someone's doing some payback because those guys... like I said, it was kind of interesting about Barry Bonds. We used to say all the time, gee whiz, how did this guy go from about 180 pounds to 260?
Right.
And
he just bulked up. It was ridiculous. But see, in Clemens' case, the bulking as a pitcher, it doesn't help you. In 1983, there was a pitcher on the White Sox. His name was Richard Dotson. He won 22, 23 games, something like that.
Right.
In the offseason, he bulked up, built up.
Right.
And all he did was what? Get himself taken out of the game. Because why? They had to cut 4 inches of muscle out of his pectoral because it got in the way of his throwing motion.
Right.
It was ridiculous. So what I'm trying to say here is that the steroids aren't helping guys like Roger Clemens. And people say, well, he's a roid guy. I don't think that's right. Clemens should be put ahead of guys like Bonds and Bagwell. Clemens should have been a first ballot no matter what. We'll pick that up on the other side. See you in a minute.